Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series with Kevin, where we add value to people's lives, happening every day at 12 on ebizradio.com. Today at the Lunchtime Coaching segment, we have a really interesting guest who I happened to meet through an online program. He's an innovation consultant, strategy coach, facilitator, and content creator at Strategizer. Nick Himo, how are you, Nick?
I'm really well, and I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for making some time. I'm so glad. Like when I first saw you online, I was like, oh, I need to see who this person is. And I think we met with the I'm Remarkable program. I know that's something you've been involved in, but such an interesting concept and such an interesting sort of approach to showcasing your own business. But I'm going to ask you, tell us more about you, who you are, what you do. Give us the lowdown.
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So I have been making video content for 2 years now. And I love making video content about business, but also around kind of like teaching people how to run workshops, because I'm really passionate about delivering and running workshops. So that's something that I talk about a lot in my videos. And also I just like helping people grow their business. And recently I've been very lucky because 2 months ago, I started working with a company called Strategizer, who's founded by somebody called Alex Osterwalder, who is my business hero. And I'm now working with his company, helping create content for the business and helping people in the company create video content as well. So I'm just living the dream right now. I'm on a high. Just
yeah. When we first had this conversation, it's like you literally get employed to create like content. That's like, I've never actually met someone, and like you often see it online, but you kind of go, wow, like, you know, someone who's actually done this, someone who's been in your position, and now you actually get to do it for your business hero. So tell us, on that note, tell us the story, because I know that it's an interesting story, and I'd love for people to hear this. This is an amazing story.
Okay, so how I got into making video content in the first place, that story, yeah. Okay, so I'm originally a musician. I studied music at university. In 2009, I graduated, and that was the crisis. And I was like, oh, I'm a musician, and there's an economic crisis. What I'm going to do now? So I ended up going to Colombia for 2 years because my mum is Colombian. So I thought I'd never been before. I wanted to go and check it out. And then I did all this stuff. Ended up moving to Australia after that for a bit. Came back home in 2013, in 2012, and did a master's in management. And this is the key part, that this guy called Thomas Power did a talk, and he is the mentor of Jay Shetty. If you don't know who Jay Shetty is, he's probably one of the most...
Yeah, you're living under a rock. It's like, you should know who Jay Shetty is, right?
Absolutely. So it's billions of views of his content. And Thomas Power gave a talk, and he said, look, like blew our minds with like how to use social media and all that stuff, because I used to hate technology. I used to hate it. He then at the end of it said, look, here's my phone number. It's openly on Twitter. It's open on LinkedIn. Just give me a call. So I remembered that. I went and like after that, doing my master's degree in management and innovation, I went and worked for a big tech company, then went and worked for a digital agency, and then went out on my own. And when I was working on my own, I just started, and I was like, oh, you know who I should call? I know someone who knows some people. I should call up Thomas Power, see if he can give me some contacts, and then maybe I can start selling them some workshops, you know, because that's what I was trying to do with my business.
Yeah.
And then I called him up. I'm like, hey, so 6 years ago, you gave a talk at my uni, and you said we should call you. So that's what I'm doing now. I'd love your advice. I'd like some tips. And I was really asking because I wanted some contacts. You know, I was like, I'm sure he knows some people I could sell to. And he was having none of it. He was like, no, I'm not going to tell you anything. Like, I'm not going to give you that information. Like, you're doing it all wrong. That's not how you do it. And he started asking really probing coaching questions, but in quite an aggressive way. He was like asking all these questions, like, how long have you doing it? Like, how much have you earned? How much have you earned? Like, he kept asking me, like, and I was like, oh, I'm earning this much so far. He's like, no, it's all wrong. This is what you got to do. And he said to me a piece of advice that I'll never forget and has changed my life, which is that you've got to start making video content about the types of topics that you want to be employed for or you want to get at work for.
Yeah.
So that was the one piece of advice I didn't want to hear, but that was the most powerful piece of advice that he had for me. So, and that was pretty much it. So I took that advice, and then this was the year before last that we had that call. In probably, well, like 3 years ago. But then 2 years ago in January, started making a video every day, just making videos, learning how to do it on my phone. And then that was in January. And then I also at the same time met someone on a trip in India with the Happy Startup School that was making videos just using his phone. And he taught me how to do it. So it gave me the confidence to be able to get better at doing this stuff. Because if you've got whatever phone you've got, like it's good enough to create video content. So nobody can use technology as an excuse to not be making video content. I was making it on an iPhone 7. So no matter what phone you've got, you can make some video content with it. He taught me how to do some great stuff. His name was Kim Slade, and he's got a company called Touch Video Academy. So if you're thinking about, if you're wanting to make video content, and you don't have any equipment and you don't know where to start, check out touchvideoacademy.com and speak to Kim Slade because he'll sort you out. Then I did that for about a year and a half. And then this is about 6 months ago now, I went rogue and I bought some camera equipment. He wasn't too happy. Kim wasn't too happy with me. But now I've got a Canon R and a Canon R6, proper like photography video cameras, hybrids. And now I'm making YouTube videos and all my content for Strategizer, the company that I'm working for, using this equipment now. So that's the story of getting into video.
I find this, it's so amazing because you kind of go, when you listen to that, you started out and then you just randomly phone someone up that said that you could phone them, and then suddenly with one bit of advice you just start doing the smallest little thing, and lo and behold, a couple of years later, here you are making videos, making content, creating content for a living. You know, it's stories like that you kind of don't hear. You hear about it like on the news kind of thing, you know.
And I want to add to that now that I got really lucky because one of my favorite people, I think Gary Vaynerchuk, if you're not watching Gary Vaynerchuk, you should be. He's had a lot of people following him around making videos of just documenting what he does. And one of those people that was making videos of him was called Tyler Babin. D-Rock was the other famous one as well, that everyone knows D-Rock's name, but Tyler Babin was the other one. And he's got different people. D-Rock's still with him, but he's got other people making videos. He's got a team of like 50 people making videos for him. And Tyler Babin was the one that you watched it though, and you could tell Tyler made that video. All the videos that he made just had something special about them. And he left and he joined a special program with Adobe called the Creative Residency, where Adobe paid him to just make video content for whatever he wanted. Right. And they asked him to run a course to teach other creatives or other people that want to be creating content, how to do it using their tools like a Premiere Pro. And I applied for the program and I got accepted on it. And for the last 6 weeks, I've been learning with Tyler Babin how to use, because I never used Premiere Pro, I was using other tools. And I was learning from one of my favorite content creators. And Jira Bean, who's got like thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. She was teaching on the program as well, and lots of other people. And so I was learning with 60 other people that are creating content, and all of us learning together. And what was cool was that someone that I messaged about a year and a half ago on Instagram, it's called Callum. He used to work with AJ and Smart. He's excellent videographer. AJ and Smart is a fantastic YouTube channel as well. You should check out if you're interested in kind of business design business design or design type stuff. AJ and Smart. Callum helped create that in the beginning. He's left now, but I remember messaging and asking him what his camera equipment was because I thought it just looked so good. This was before I bought any camera equipment.
Yeah.
And what was so funny was the day before yesterday, I got a message from him on my YouTube channel saying, "Great content. What camera are you using?" And I was like, no, that's so funny how it's come around.
Yeah.
And this is the thing now working like, what I think is that so many people, like there's nothing special about me. I'm not particularly like especially good on camera, or I'm not technically gifted. All it is that I want to do it. I've got the hunger to do it and I'm just going for it. But I think there are so many people out there that've got so much talent that they haven't yet chosen themselves.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, I want to give you permission to choose yourself, because if you want to check out what I've been doing on my YouTube channel, Nick Himo, or Instagram, Nick Himo, whatever, and you go, oh, that guy looks like he knows what he's doing. I could never get to that level. Nah, you can absolutely do it. The first thing though is you've got to choose yourself. You've got to let yourself have the permission to just start making stuff. And this is the tip, and I think you like this one, Kevin, as well, which is from Ali Abdaal. Yeah. And it's not originally his, but I learned it from Ali Abdaal, which is you need to give yourself permission. If you're going to do this, if you want to start, you've got to give yourself permission to be FBR, fast, bad, and wrong. You've got to give yourself permission to just get your phone out, start videoing yourself, and just do it quickly, and and know that it's going to be bad. It's going to be terrible. You won't even want to watch it back, but make it, and it's going to be wrong, right? Even the acronym's funny, FBR, right? But it's going to be fast, bad, and wrong. But once you accept that and give yourself permission, that enables you to get out of your own way and start posting content, because you can't get better at this if you're not posting. I get better at every video I make. But if you haven't made 100 videos, you're not going to make the progress, because if you start the first video, then delete it and then never post it, you'll never get to 100 videos.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm so glad that you mentioned it, because that's one of my notes that I have here about the conversation we had. And since I had that conversation with you, I've made some really fast, bad, wrong content, and I posted it. I was like, okay, cool. I hope people do not. And guys, if you want to see this content, go and check it out at Kevin_Britz. It's all on Instagram. But and that's what I'm doing now, because I kind of go. I look at the YouTube series that we started, and this show specifically that's now sort of airing on ebizradio.com. The intention initially was just like, how do we have good conversations and how do we add value to people's lives? And it started out as a marketing conversation, then it started out as a leadership conversation, and then it's like we went into coaching and expert advice, and and now it's a 5-day a week running on eBiz Radio, and you kind of go, so that's interesting. And so I'm doing like interviews like these 5 days a week, like speaking to people and learning, and it's, I think, and it speaks to this whole FBR kind of moment. You kind of go, and I've literally been on camera where I fell off the chair. I must actually send you the video. It's a serious leadership conversation we're having about leadership, and as the co-host is talking to me, my chair kind of gives away, and I literally fall off the chair, and I have a bit of a moment on camera. But it's really based on the fact that I like you're saying, I'm not the most attractive or best speaker or knowledgeable camera person, presenter, whatever you want to call it. But I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to try, and I think I'm all good with FBR, but the whole live thing on Instagram, I still make a video, and I was like, okay, well, someone saw how I just messed it up, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I do it again. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm doing it again. And to the point now where some of the conversation that I have, as an inspired moment, I listen back to it and I think, crikey, that just came out of my head. That's in my head, right? Recently, I speaking. I don't know if you've seen it. It spoke about the unexpected anticipation of uncertainty. And I sort of spoke to it, and I was like, wow, that inspired me about what I was actually wanting to share with people. But when I listen to it back now, it's so I'm slowly learning how to formulate that conversation, even at a moment's notice, and sharing it, because inevitably that's what I'm passionate about, wanting to add value. So I mean, I absolutely love this FBR approach.
And a question for you, Kevin, is when did you choose yourself? When did you go, oh, I could do this? Because you've made obviously a big journey there, but in the beginning to start making the recording the show, what was the moment that you went, because you'd never done it before? So when was the moment that you decided, I'm going to do it, and what went through your mind to enable you to do that?
To be honest, I think it's literally ego. When I noticed that my ego was in the way, And I was going, okay, cool, Kevin, this isn't it's not about you. It's literally kind of going, what is the point of making the videos? Like, why are you creating content? If you're going to be doing it, why are you doing it? And it's like, okay, cool. If it's not about me, and it's, how do I tap into, a bigger moment here? How do I tap into sort of the intention that I have? And then I was like, okay, cool. I really want to be able to help people. That's my intention. That's why I do what I do, to help. And then when my ego got out of the way, I was like, yeah, it's I don't have all the answers, and I'm okay with not having the answers. I'm really willing to learn. So I think, and that happened with COVID. COVID happened, and you kind of sat in lockdown in your house, kind of going, well, I'm here. I can't help anybody. How the hell am I going to help anybody? I'm stuck right here. And I was like, no, but what could you do? And I often refer to it as the possible potential that could come from this moment. And I was like, okay. And that, again, it's bigger than me, so it's like, get your ego out of the way and just like, what is the intention? What is the point of why you're doing it? And you kind of like, okay, cool. Now and I think it's all thanks to COVID.
So really? Your back was against the wall, but you had a big vision, because your back was against the wall in the sense that, well, you're at home, right?
Yeah.
So there aren't any options, but you had the big vision. So that was where necessity became the mother of invention, and you went for it. So I like that. So I think for people listening, I think if you need to have a big goal for yourself, and you need to kind of create a situation where you refuse to accept the current situation as it is, and that you're just going to go for it. So write down a big goal, or decide what your goal is, write it down, and then just make the decision to go for it.
And that leads me to one of the points I made note for this conversation is, which we also briefly chatted about, is quantity over quality. And you kind of go, hang on, hasn't that forever and a day been swapped around? And like, isn't it supposed to be quality over quantity? And it's not. Tell us more about that. Give us more idea of why that's such a fantastic notion.
Yeah, and this is one that I've heard Gary Vee talk about a lot as well. And I'm a recovering perfectionist, so it's a hard one to stick to. But you have no idea what people are going to like, and you have no idea what content you're going to like creating until you've made it. And actually, there's also there's diminishing returns as well on stuff. So you can spend a lot of time on something that doesn't actually make it that much better.
Yeah.
What you're better off doing is just making a lot of content, pumping it out there. Like, give yourself a time limit, but just say, look, what time have I got available to me? I'm going to make a piece of content in this time, and then post it. Don't overthink it, and do that regularly and consistently, because I think content creation is like building a muscle. You just need to keep doing. You need to do reps.
Yeah.
And you need to do, so there's a certain amount of reps that you need to do as a minimum to even just start getting good at it. And the other part is that you need to be working out what techniques are going to work for you, and what people are going to resonate with people. And so also the other thing is that what's easy for you, or you watch something and you go, that's nothing. It's often the thing that other people look at and go, whoa, that's so good. But by the nature of it, if it's something that you can do easily, you think everyone can do it, but that's not always the case. So you just being naturally just talking on camera, saying something that you thought was fairly interesting, you're like, I'll just say something like that and that'll be fine. Or you don't think it's that great. But someone else might watch you and go, I never knew that. Like, for example, I created a bit of content and I was like, I'm just going to share. I learned this cool thing where if you're on a Mac computer, on a MacBook or an iMac or whatever, you're using iOS basically, or Apple OS. If you do the Control, Command, and Spacebar, that brings up the emoji keyboard. Now, if do you know what I mean? Like, it's quite a useful keyboard shortcut to know. Do you know what I mean? Like, on a Windows computer, I think it's the Windows key and the Windows key and spacebar. I need to double check it. If you type in emoji keyboard shortcut with Windows, it will tell you what it is. On Mac, it's Control, Command, Spacebar when you're in a place that you can click your cursor. Like if you're in like anywhere that you can type, you do Control Command Spacebar. So I did that. Did it work for you? Did you try it? Or?
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, exactly. So it's quite cool, right? Yeah. So I just did that. I made a little video on it. People loved that little video that I made of it, and that was one of the videos that one of the first videos that got a comment and a reshare from Alex Osterwalder on as well, which is like my business hero. And it was nothing. It was just this little thing, and I just did it, and I was like, oh, I'll just do that. But the things that you think are nothing, other people are like, whoa. So but the thing is, that's not the case every time. You might make something that you think is nothing, and everyone else agrees. But you might make something that you think is nothing, but everyone else thinks is brilliant. But you won't know that until you make a lot of content and post it. So you have to go for quantity. And then out of that, you will learn, because learning is key. And the more you make, the more you'll learn. And one philosophy that I have is I'm just going to make my next video in the amount of time that I have. But all I'm going to focus on is doing one thing better than my last video.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's too much. You try to focus on doing all these things at the same time, and then you don't. And then perfectionism comes in, and then you never post it. So just give yourself permission to say, look, what's one thing that I can improve last time, and let's just keep making it regularly. And that's going to be because it's compound interest as well. I think as well. The more you make it over time, you get better at it. That's why I think quantity is so important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I was doing some training for an insurance company the other day, and one of the random kind of things that I, just because I do what I do, and I'm a business owner, I know that I need to get things done quickly. So writing out long formulated emails or responses that I would do regularly, I was going, man, I don't want to write out like all of the stuff now. And I was like, there must be a shortcut way to do this. And now I have on my Mac, I have shortcut keys. So for example, when you're posting anything and you're having hashtags, you just like, what's your shortcut key? And it pops up wherever you're typing. Now in my head, you kind of go, okay, cool. For someone in this position that's busy, that's doing a lot of stuff, I don't have time to hashtag everything. And it's just annoying. I thought, it's something that everybody does. We were doing like training for like 25 people. And I was, guys, why don't you just use, if you're going to be doing this, why don't you just use your shortcuts? And they were so like taken by the fact that like there's something like, you could do shortcuts. What are you talking about? The show's like, please send us more videos about the shortcuts. How do we do shortcuts? I was like, are you kidding me? You guys don't use shortcuts? Yeah, and you like in an insurance firm where you're sharing information, similar information the whole time. And now I'm so going to make a shortcuts video. It's like, guys, this is what I do. This saves me so much time because, again, doing what I do, I teach people to time manage more and do it effectively. And what does that mean? How do you do it? How do you do an activity or a skill that can take you literally a couple of seconds instead of 20 minutes? So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the fact that you're mentioning that, and it's making me think on like, how do I create content around everything that I do on a daily basis, because it really speaks to lending itself to the channel, your social media, everything.
Definitely you need to make that one.
So Gary Vee, I'm like, you mentioned Gary, and again, I think everybody should be listening to Gary Vee, and also Nick Himo, and Kevin Britz. But I mean, like Gary Vee, one of the interesting things that I remember seeing him say was, so many people look at social media and creating content as, oh, that's for those young people, for those people that are, in their 20s, and people who are, or millennials. They like coining millennials as this generation or that does that kind of stuff. And Gary Vee, he was like, when you're 45 years old and you need to learn how to drive a car, you don't just throw your hands up in the air and kind of go, okay, well, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm never going to drive a car. You learn, you kind of go, okay, cool. Let me go for lessons. Let me do what I need to do because I need to drive wherever I'm going. And he used a simple example like that. I was going, yeah, that's the point. Like there's options for you to learn how to do stuff. You just need to actually learn how to do it just because you're 45 or 55 or 65.
Exactly. How old are you, Kevin?
I'm 42.
So you're 42. It's like you could be working for another 40 years, maybe.
Exactly.
You are pretty much like you've got another 40 years to go minimum, like of work, proper hard work. So like there's loads, like, are the skills that you have right now going to still be the exact same skills that you're going to use in 35 years? No.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to have, like, you could just go, well, the skills that I've got right now is all I've got, and that's it. Or you could say, like, well, what you need to do is go to YouTube University, and that's what I'm doing. Every day I'm going on YouTube. There's nothing that you can ask that someone hasn't made a video about already that you can go to. And if they haven't, well, you make that video and it will get a lot of views, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And even if someone else has, you can make your one that says it from your perspective. But anyhow, YouTube has the answers to anything that you want to do. I'm constantly on there. I'm like, I didn't video production, like mobile video production using phones. I didn't know how to do 2 years ago. Now I'm an expert in. I didn't know how to make videos using proper cameras. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in it, but well, that's my job. I'm getting paid to do it. I'm not calling myself an expert, but I'm a professional in it. So I should maybe call myself an expert in it now. But I've educated everything I've learned through using YouTube. I've just bought. So I studied music at university, but I haven't been playing the drums for 11 years because I live in a flat. There's no way for me to do it. I've just bought myself a drum machine. I'm on YouTube trying to work out
right? Yeah.
Exactly. I'm on YouTube now trying to work out how to do it. So I'm constantly like, this is the thing with my sister. Like, I love her. She's great. But she doesn't know how to use YouTube. She doesn't know how to use Google or YouTube to answer any question. She's come back from, she's a bit older than me. She's 42 as well, I think. She'll always pick up the phone and ask someone how to do something. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
It's and it's a nuisance. Like, the answer is, like, never ask someone something that you can find the answer to on YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you can't find it, then you ask someone. But it's always faster to do it on YouTube.
Yeah, to me, social media, I think long gone are the days where social media is a thing where people are taking photos of their lunch. People do that too. But you really have to, I think society 2021, people really have to get their brains wrapped around, cool, where are people going for sources of information? And they probably going to Google. Well, not probably, they're obviously going to Google every time. And if they want to know how to do something, they're probably going to YouTube it. It's kind of like, in my head, I'm going to, it's a no-brainer, but you still find people who are kind of going, no, that's not an option for me. But I mean, on that point, I wanted to ask you from a content creation perspective, what are your views on TikTok? Because one of the things I'm not obsessed with TikTok, but I find it for like really good comic relief. And there's so many people who are older than 45 years old making TikTok videos, and they kind of, it's hilarious, but also really just amazing that that speaks to exactly this point. It doesn't really matter what age you are. If you want to do it, you'll do it.
Absolutely. And I think I think most of my views probably were taken from Gary Vee originally, but maybe like through my own experience have become my own as well. But from speaking to a lot of people and through my own like practicing and using it myself, is that Facebook first was just for university students, right?
Yeah.
And then Instagram was just for kids, and it was just for taking pictures of your food, as you were saying before. And then TikTok, it's just for dancing, for kids that want to do dancing, right? Every platform evolves. And so it's important, like the most important thing is to have attention. You want people knowing who you are and what you do. And what you need to do is adapt what you do for that platform. Now, Instagram is starting to die because like they just want ads. They just want to get people to pay them to be placing ads. And so it's much harder to get organic reach. Yeah. Whereas on TikTok, it's starting to get harder, but it's much easier to get more people viewing your content. And also, eventually, like all my aunties are on Facebook now. They weren't on it 5 years ago, but they're all on there now, and they're all loving it, posting it every 5 minutes. And you can see them starting to encroach on Instagram as well, like maybe for the last year or two. And then like they're going to be on TikTok as well. And then all the kids that were dancing on TikTok, they're going to be not on there anymore, and it's going to be evolving in some. So it's constantly changing. So there will be different demographics using it in the not too distant future, and potentially they could be like I'm into business coaching, and my main clients when I'm doing the work outside of the work that I'm doing with Strategizer, like business coaching and stuff like that. They're business people that I'm trying to help, and so they're not. There are business people on TikTok, right? But they're not in the numbers that. Not as many as like they will be in a few years. I'm sure they'll be joining as well. At which point, if you start now, you'll be there and you'll be a bigger player on there than if you try and start in a few years when they're already there. And then that's why it's really important to start now and start creating content. However, personally, I have put quite a lot of videos on TikTok, to be fair, but it's not my focus because we've all only got so much time. So what I'm focusing on more is YouTube's my number one. That's really where I'm trying to like make videos there. And then and LinkedIn is probably my number two. I post a lot on LinkedIn, and then I'm not really that bothered about Instagram, but I post there fairly regularly. And then TikTok, I've gone through kind of bursts of it, but I think it's really important for everyone to consider depending on what their strategy is. But if you're doing anything around anything visual or artistic, or like depending on what product you're trying to sell or service you're trying to offer, I think it could be a great one to start with because it's so easy to make content on there.
Yeah, it is. It's a no-brainer. It's a quick and easy, and it's easy to learn as well. The other thing I wanted to check with you is being someone who's literally creating content and out there doing this. What is your view? I remember Gary Vee speaking about the future of social media and where is where are we moving to? If we look at from where Facebook was and started to it creating Instagram and then it moving into LinkedIn being what it is today, and everything evolving in the way it was. One of his kind of insights that this was probably about a year ago already, and he was mentioning how audio was going to be the next big thing in the world. And I was like, audio? Like, really? Like, what do you mean audio? And I mean, like, obviously, okay, cool, podcasts are obvious. And to that point, these shows that we do now on the Lunchtime series, I got some stats this week from the podcast downloads that we've had on eBiz Radio. And we've had numbers of downloads to about 147,000 downloads.
How many people live in South Africa?
And on that point, for example, like Clubhouse.
There's only 58 million in South Africa.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But Clubhouse, I've been like seeing in the news, and then I sort of joined it. And I was like paying attention to like, wow, this is really an interesting concept. And the idea of it is you could literally speak to everyone anywhere in the world, just like right from your phone and have a random conversation. And I was going, okay, this is exactly what Gary Vee was talking about, how audio is becoming a really next big thing for the world. Is that something? What is your take on Clubhouse and platforms like that?
I think there are both positives and negatives. I think Clubhouse can be like crack for entrepreneurs, where you can just kind of go on it and just waste all your time on there easily. However, I heard David Bland, who's the author of Testing Business Ideas, and if you're interested in starting a business, you should definitely check that book out, Testing Business Ideas by David Bland. I saw him post yesterday on LinkedIn a graph which showed his book sales numbers, and it was like going down, and then there was a day where it just started going boom up higher than it had been before, and he was like, guess what day I started doing talks on Clubhouse? So he's been going quite heavy on it, and it's worked for him. I think because it's still early stages, and what's really good is that when you're on it, you have to be your real self on there. You can't like have an alias profile. And that means that when kind of quite high profile people come on there, you can know, and you can have the opportunity to speak to people like Elon Musk, although obviously not every time you go on there, you're going to speak to him. But this is why I was really lucky, because I talked about AJ and Smart, Callum and Brittany Bowering, they helped grow that channel. Callum was hosting a session and there were like 5 people in the session. And I saw it, I jumped on it, and I got like video coaching from Callum and Brittany Bowering, who are my heroes. Like I've been watching for like 3 years, and they were like giving me advice on what I should do with my channel, but also with the company that I'm now working with as well, about how to grow it. And I was like, I'm just getting coached on Clubhouse. This is awesome. So there's some real opportunities. I just think you need to balance it and work out what you're trying to do. I know people that have been spending like 3 or 4 hours a day on it, and then like growing their Instagram and growing their followers and stuff like that in other platforms. Because if you're being seen and you're showing up again and again and you're being able to speak, people will follow you. So that's good. And like I say, for David Bland, it's been working well for his sales. But you've got to work out how it works with your strategy and everything else you're doing. But if you've not done anything, it can be a good thing to do.
Absolutely. So to shift a gear here, Nick, tell what do you do? To keep yourself motivated. What do you do that's something that kind of because creating content is, I think, what people sometimes get it skewed, that it becomes this personality, and you've got to like, I don't know how you experience it, but it kind of, you step into a role and you step out of the role, and a lot of the time, I find that for me to be able to be on camera, you got to kind of there's something got to drive that need for you to actually, cool, I'm going to do this, let's do it. What is that for you? Like, how do you keep yourself motivated and upbeat and on the edge of like, okay, cool, next thing, what's the next thing?
So there's two things two answers I've got to this. The first one is you've got to be look after yourself, because if you're not in your best state, you're not going to produce the content, and that's going to come across to your audience. So I have my basics. I call it my 4 basics. You've got to eat well. You've got to sleep well. You've got to be doing exercise like gym, yoga, like that, and like some like ideally kind of like learning, growing, meditation, stuff like that helps you feel like you're growing as well. Those are the 4 main things that I like to make sure that I'm doing in my life. I heard someone, I think it was, I can't remember who it was that I heard say this, but it's a story about a monk that he was living in the monastery, and he was a young monk, and then you had the kind of leader in the monastery or whatever. And anytime the young monk had an issue, he'd go to the leader and he'd say, "Look, I've got these problems," and he'd say, "Have you been doing your like routine?" Basically, would be the question. And if he said, "No, I haven't stuck to the routine of what I'm supposed to do," he'd be like, "Well, go away and do it, and then come back if you have any issues." And he'd never come back, because like he'd go back to his routine and he'd solve all of his issues. So when you go back to that routine of going to bed early, like eating properly, like doing all these things, the basics that your mum told you to do, that's going to put you in that's like, you know what to do, just do the basics. That's going to put you in a good place first of all. And then the other thing that I say a lot about motivation was, I don't think I was particularly motivated up until I was 21, but then I moved to Colombia, and then I had a girlfriend over there who was like incredible, and her dad was an entrepreneur. But her dad, he came from a background, he had like both his parents died, like he didn't have any money, he had like no shoes or whatever, and like was like treated really badly as a kid. But he ended up being super successful, like ridiculously successful. And seeing that and like living with them for a little bit, like I just saw like how, like I just made me realize that if he's able to do it with that background, how is it that I'm not able to choose myself and then go for it? So that really gave me a kick up the bum. And also went on a trip in Colombia where I saw, like, we were going up through this river that seemed like the Amazon. Wasn't in the Amazon, but it was like, seemed like we were in the middle of the Amazon. And there was these like kids that were like in this shack, and they were like naked, and they were just playing in the river. but they had nothing, but they were so happy. They were making the most of what they had. And it was at that point as well that I was like, I've got no excuse. I need to be making the most of every opportunity that I've got here. Why I need to just go for it. And I remember that all the time, and that really gives me the motivation and hunger to make the most of my opportunity here in life.
It's amazing, yeah. I love that, and I think for a lot of people, and that's what I find with a lot of my coaching clients is because of COVID, because of what we've been through in the last 12. Well, it's been about 12 months now. I think people are really starting to ask that question, right? And it's like, why am I doing what I'm doing, and like, what's the point? And I think it speaks to that. It's like really asking yourself the tough questions, getting back to why do you do what you do, and are you in the moment? Are you like loving this? And if you're not loving it, you're not a tree. Like, move, get up and change it. So, Nick, if we have to be looking at some of your content, what could we be sort of looking out for? What is the stuff that you're doing? I know that you're creating that content for Strategizer, but I mean, I was also just looking at your website, and you also have a program that you run with people where people can do an online course with you. Tell us more about that and what we sort of can look out for if we want to go and check out more about Nick.
Yeah, I'd say check out, if you're interested in running workshops online, I would check out my playlist on YouTube, which is how to deliver workshops online. So that's a great one, about 4 or 5 videos I've made that. So that's great. If you're interested in like my business content, again, check out my Instagram, Nick Himo, and there's lots of great free content there. I'd say also, follow Strategizer's YouTube channel, because I'm going to be popping up on there a lot more. And there's some I did a great business model analysis, because I love the business model canvas. That's one of my favorite business tools out there. If you're not familiar with it, then you need to check out Strategizer's YouTube channel and buy their books, because they're the best business books, hands down. There are no competitors to them. They are the best. That's why I'm so proud to be working there, because I've been a massive fan even before I started working there. And I made a business model analysis of Mr. Beast Burger. Mr. Beast, if you're not familiar with him, he's probably one of the top YouTubers out there, and he's just basically started his own restaurant chain and had 300 franchises overnight. How do you do that? You'll find out by watching the Mr. Beast Burger business model analysis on Strategizer's YouTube channel. And check out my TikTok at Nick Himo. I've been a little bit quieter there recently, but I still got quite a lot of videos there. And connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So there you go. Nick Himovich, I think, on LinkedIn.
Nick, so I think with that said, I think you definitely have to come back, and we have to chat about this business. What is it called? The business model.
Business model canvas.
Business model canvas.
It helps you analyze your business. On using one piece of paper. Yeah. Because normally when we talk about business strategy, it's blah, 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 lots of talking. And then everyone goes, well, that was a great meeting. What happened? I don't know. The business model canvas makes sure that everybody is literally on the same page for both analyzing your business, where it is right now, where it has been in the past, but also planning where you need to take it in the future. Because there's no point in writing a 10-page, 20-page, 30-page business plan, because it's all just like a dream. Business model canvas helps you map it out quickly, and then you can start testing it and make your business, like creating a profitable business, more of a scientific approach as well. So we can talk about that in the future for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exciting. And I'd love to do that. So guys, if you want to check out Nick, I'm going to put all the details in the description box below, and it's nickhimo.com. He's got his website there and all of the necessary information. Nick, thank you for joining us. If you could leave us maybe with like, I don't know, three tips for anyone out there creating content, what would be, I mean, the obvious ones are already there, but what would you say? What would be the advice?
3 top tips. Number 1, people that you look up to are no better than you.
Yeah.
So you can do it. Just go for it. Believe in yourself. Tip 2 is give yourself permission to be fast, bad, and wrong when you're getting started. And tip number 3 is get your phone out right now, make a little video, and post it.
Fantastic. Yay. I love it. Nick, thank you. Thank you for spending some time with me. That was so insightful. I'm going to relook at this video because I'm like, yeah, that was a really good conversation. And yeah, hopefully we can set up some time and chat soon about the business model canvas.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Kevin. And thank you so much to everyone listening. This has been a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nick. Chat to you soon.
See ya.
Cheers. Bye.